It's first light, just getting light out, and I got a real nice big, I'm by myself, I got a real nice big bull out coming. He poked his head out of the woods about 800 yards away from where we shot Sean's bull yesterday morning, so I'm up on this big perch, and he's about 900 yards out, screaming his guts out at me, but he's coming. So hopefully I'm going to get my elk meat here in the next minutes or hours. Who knows? Hopefully I can shoot him from here and I don't have to go wade across that waist-deep river, which is moving pretty quick. You don't really want to cross those things by yourself if you don't really have to. So anyway, hopefully we'll get light out and I'll be able to get this on film. But it's looking like it's going to be elk and sheep meat in the freezer for sure. Hopefully. Here we go. Pretty exciting. Five point, it's got to be a 6. What a bummer. I don't know where the other one is. People are peculiar, right? People don't want to know. The average person doesn't want to accept that this is fact. And they want you to shut up, and they don't want to talk about it. They don't want their life ruined, right? They don't want their little secure existence tainted. And that's fine, they don't have to. But there is tens of thousands of people out there that want to know, obviously. 4 million people view this channel a month average. That's a lot of curiosity. Mount Shasta, summer 78. From Cheryl Pemberton. My grandchildren and I love your channel. We listen to it together. I greatly appreciate that we don't hear vulgar language on it too. Really? That's good too, because I thought I do get potty mouth fairly sometimes. And sometimes I just don't care. I'm going to express myself or I get angry at somebody being a jerk or whatever. But that's great. I'm glad. Thanks for the support of the channel. I'm happy that you enjoy this. Summer 78, I went camping with the same 3 girlfriends I camped with for years. We've mostly camped in northern Los Padre National Forest near Big Sur, Lakes San Antonio, and Nacimiento, Camp Roberts, Fort Hunter, Leggett, Oreo Seco, Palisades, Nacimiento, Ferguson Road areas. Whew, just learned a whole new language there. East over the Santa Lucia Mountains to Carmel Valley, Big Sur, Monterey, and south to San Luis, Obispo, and Morro Bay, and hiked and loved them all. We decided to go north, check out Shasta. We'd done the whole Pacific Crest Trail the previous summer together, the whole way. Went through some good boots, and decided we wanted a weekend at Shasta, so off we went. As always, no men. I hate that. I'm kidding. It seemed like it was a lot less trouble that way. No boyfriends. We got to a parking lot and camping area early Friday afternoon, got our gear, food, and equipment ready, and started hiking up. After more than 2 hours, we found a gorgeous meadow, little flowers growing, no ants or little critters that we could see. Perfect. Set up camp, ate dinner, then cracked a beer, a juice, or soda, and prepared for deep slumber. Looking forward to a big hike after sunrise, we thought. Sometime in the night, Susan woke me up saying in a whisper, "There's something out there, Cheryl. Get your gun out."
Tammy and Diana were awake, wide-eyed. So, I, being the supposed brave one, went out of the tent with my 38 and looked. What I saw was very dark. It stunk and was much bigger than any bear I'd ever seen. Plus, it was walking upright. But at about 20 feet away on that very dark night with very small bit of moon and just far enough away so I couldn't see it or tell exactly what it was. We huddled in that tent for about another 5 minutes. Some were crying. I had to figure out what to do. We could see and hear through the tent this huge shadow grunting and almost roaring, dragging something smaller than itself in a clockwise direction, round and round our tent. We figured out it was a coastal deer doe. They kept telling me to use my gun, but I told them my little 38 S&W would be like a pea shooter. It would only piss it off. I told the girls the plan. Convinced them that whatever it is could easily have us killed it. I told the girls the plan, convinced them that whatever it was could easily have killed us. I think it just wanted us off the mountain. So I slowly unzipped the tent while it was in the back, then shoved the other 3 girls out, running after them. It was right on our tails. Not being the quickest girl, I'm slow to start. Once I get running, I actually gain speed. I was an athlete in schools, long-distance runner in trails. I paced myself, unlike the other 3 who were exhausted and slowed way down after the first half mile or so. And I passed them one by one. Hey, I figured if that monstrous sucker got caught anyone, it's going to be the one that's last, and I'm not going to be last. While we were running, from when we bolted out of the tent until about halfway down, it was making a horrible, scary noise. It was like the loudest roar I've ever heard. Mixed with a screeching scream, it reverberated through our whole bodies. None of us have ever heard anything like it before or since. I didn't ever look back either. I've watched those horror movies. Every time a person looks back at their pursuer, they get caught. Plus, I did not want to see it. I was afraid of what I might see and thought it might anger it more. I just kept yelling at the other girls to run faster. Keep up, you can do this, we're almost there, etc. After not slowing down, even in the parking lot, I reached my car. What had taken me more than 2 hours up was only about 20 or 30 minutes down that mountain. Winded, I opened the doors, then waited and waited. Finally, here they come. They jumped in, we locked the doors and pulled the car over closer to the other cars. With people fast asleep in their camps, we fell asleep, huddled in their jackets and whatever things we could find in the old station wagon. After sunrise, we waited for about an hour, and I convinced the others to come back up the mountain with me to gather my camping gear. None being theirs. Of course, they balked, but they came. I had the keys. We looked at the area quickly, saw huge, strange footprints, and where something big was dragging round and round the tent. We didn't roll the tent up. Nothing was put away as I usually wanted them clean and perfect and ready for the next time. They were dirty and wadded up and partly dragged down the mountain. Quickly, as we were still very spooked. We stuffed it into the back of my station wagon and then left. With other campers giving us the funniest looks, we said not a word. We just wanted gone. We pulled out, and near I-5 there was a tiny cafe/store, so we went in for a quick breakfast. Sitting in the booth talking, 2 of the girls were very loud, and even though me and the other tried to shush them, eventually some older man who was drinking a beer, mid-morning I know, came up and said he'd heard us, and could he talk to us? Okay, sure. He pulled up a chair and told us he was an Indian from a tribe local to Shasta, and he had grown up in the area. He asked us to tell him what happened and where we went, so we did. Then he told us this. Ever since I was a little boy, our elders have pounded into us to never go up past the tree line, which is where you were, especially after dark. There have been times when kids are bad or did not believe their elders, and sometimes once in a while some of them haven't come back home. There have been adults come up missing from that mountain too, and lots of white kids and adults because they wouldn't listen to us. We bought him another beer, which he graciously accepted, finished up our meal, and then headed back home to Salinas Valley. Then headed back home to Salinas Valley. I have never went back there, never will. I've had offers to go camping there several times, driven past it on I-5 about 20 times over the years. Each time I get the chills and a little nausea. Please feel free to use my name. I've never been ashamed or scared of repercussions from non-believers. I'm always proud to tell and pass along the truth. Thank you for bringing the world a great, entertaining show. Cheryl A. Pemberton. Wow, Cheryl. That is like, that's basically your worst nightmare, right? Especially for a group of ladies. With just a little 38. It's endless. There's so many mysteries, and there's so much being withheld from the general population. It's crazy. It's kind of frustrating. It frustrates me because I want to know everything. And that's probably another reason why, in the past I've always kind of stuck it to the Sasquatch Bigfoot researchers, the Bigfoot Sasquatch community, and not being mean. I'm just encouraging them to bust out of that frickin' dead zone. I don't know why people just stay locked there. Locked, and going in a circle, when this topic is probably one of the easiest ones to blatantly prove to all of us that we're being misled and lied to intentionally. And I'd say straight across the board, without a doubt. Isn't it frustrating to you guys? I mean, think about it. It's very, very frustrating. Especially when you watch the shit show going on the planet today. Yeah. It's a bit much, I'll tell you what. Anyway, before I get going, I better keep sharing. Somebody's waiting to have their story shared. All right. Steve attaches my 6-page story. Whoa, 6? Okay. I don't have time for 6 right now. I will read it though, but later. Hello, Steve. My name is David Hayes, and I'm a 54-year-old husband, father, and grandfather. I also served in the Navy straight out of high school after a few years. I had 2 strokes in the last 2 years, and my working days are finished. I have nothing to lose now, and while not as in your face as a lot of encounters, mine was one I'll never forget. Enough of me. I want to thank you for what you're doing, and those out there who have no place to go to tell their story. This is very important. People need to tell someone and help start the process of getting over their experience. To keep it to yourself will not aid in recovering. While I haven't had the unfortunate experience of actually seeing one of these freaking things, I've had multiple experiences in the woods that have no explanation. The worst of which I'm going to relay to you and your viewers now. I'm hoping it helps someone with a similar situation to understand and hopefully get over their own experiences. This all took place on one of the longest mountain ridges here in central PA. There's a mountain called the Bald Eagle Ridge that runs southwest to northeast and runs for about 60 miles. It's the last mountain ridge before hitting the Appalachian Plateau to the west. It's a very beautiful part of the country and the state of Pennsylvania. I've been to Pennsylvania. It is beautiful there, for sure. In these mountains, there are very few homes. Most of the population of the state lives in the valleys and not in the mountaintops, so our mountains are pretty secluded. So the east part of the state and small pockets in the outlying areas are populated, and the rest of the state is mainly mountains and forests with no human population. About 10 years ago, my wife and I, along with my 25-year-old son, our 2 grandchildren, and one of their friends, all the children between 8 and 10 years old, all went for a walk at the reservoir. This supplies all the drinking water for this area, central PA, USA. This reservoir is set back about a mile from the main road, RT 150, and now is an area for walking and hiking, but back then it wasn't used by many people at all. It was formed from damming the creek that runs down through this valley. The small lake that was formed is beautiful and is abundant with fish and surrounded with the usual wildlife, but most of all it's secluded. Let me first say that until having 2 strokes in the last 2 years, I was an avid hunter and fisherman, and taught my children and grandchildren to go out and enjoy what nature we have. So with that being said, my son and I were both armed, as we always were, to protect us from any animals that may not have the best intentions. We started out a little later than planned, but things were going great, and so far uneventful. We walked about a mile or 2 up the mountain, and was on our way back. About 3/4 of a mile from the truck, and by this time it was about 9 p.m. and dark. Everyone had a flashlight. We always take them for reasons like this, and we were here before, at the same time, with nothing to be concerned about. So it was business as usual, and we were all carrying on enjoying the outdoors and the walk. I want to make it clear now that I got a very uneasy-like feeling for no reason. I wish I could explain it, but I can't. I know that doesn't make sense, but I just had a very weird feeling. Then I heard what sounded like heavy footsteps, faintly, but I could hear them over the sounds my family were making in front of me, on the trail. It sounded like something big walking above us, straddling the side hill to our left. It's a very steep hill, and the trail we were on was cut from into it, for humans to walk on. My son was in the lead, followed by the 3 children, my wife and then myself bringing up the rear. My son stopped, which stopped the rest of us, and he said, "Listen, Dad, do you hear that?" I was already listening hard, and again I could hear what sounded like someone walking to our left on the steep mountainous side of the trail. I'm not going to lie, it startled me, but after getting my senses, I shrugged it off as a deer or some other animal and told my son to keep moving. But him, myself, and the rest of the group were now focused on what was following us in the upper side of the trail. But we were all moving forward and were not panicked, just focused. Just then I heard what sounded like a very large branch being broken from a green tree. My son and the rest of the family also heard it. Then it sounded like a tree or a large boulder was thrown. It was loud, very loud. I've heard trees falling over from the wind in the woods while hunting, and that's not what this noise was. There was no wind that night. It was very still and the woods were silent up until this point. We then heard what sounded like a very heavy person running. This was all happening about 40 or so yards up the steep hill to our left. At this point, I calmly said to my son, who was now shining his light on the mountainside, trying to find what had made that noise, "Start moving." We all started to walk fast to get back to the truck. All the flashlights were focused on the side hill, but we could see nothing but trees. And then the rest of the walk was uneventful, but the whole way back to the vehicle, everyone was on edge and our senses were all on high alert. I don't know what made that noise that night, but I know what it wasn't. I've been in the woods long enough to know what the sounds are, and we all heard that night was a deliberate made noise. If I had to make a guess, I would say something ripped a tree from the ground and threw it. That's what it sounded like to me. The rest of the way back to the truck was uneventful. We saw no eye shine and heard nothing else the rest of the way back to the place that we parked the truck. We no longer walked there after dark or even in daytime. We no longer walk there after dark, and even in the daytime we're on high alert. There are many people who walk there now since they turned into a public walking trail and mountain biking area, and we have had no other incidents while walking there. You can give my name, I don't care what people think of me. I'm at the age now where I don't care. I know what I heard and felt that night, and my whole family still talks about it. I'm in the minority in that. I was not alone when this happened, and my family still brings it up and talks about it to this day. And thank you for giving us a place to tell our experiences. It is making a difference. All right, man. David Hayes, thank you very much for that email. And, we all appreciate the time you took. We appreciate the time everybody takes to send an email in. It's not easy to type out a story and send it to somebody. It just isn't. It's time consuming, and not too many people do it. But these experiences that all of you are having are obviously having an impact on your lives. And you got over 10,000 people have emailed me. Over 10,000 people have emailed me. That's some serious concern. That's some serious curiosity. And that's some serious experiences and first-hand information to share with the communities, right? And it's really something else. I can't imagine, I always get a little overprotective if there's women and children in the woods. I don't ever try. I'm not one of those overshadowing types, but I have an eye on everybody, and I have an eye on everything at all times. Not just for these things, but for anything, right? People don't understand that this is the real world right here behind me, all around me, and all around many of you. This is the real world. This isn't that phony, made-up world that the majority of people live in. This is the real world. And there's no laws governing wildlife, So, yeah, I'm a little nervous when it comes to children running around out here where there's little dirtbag, sleazy, opportunistic black bears and big cats. Not so. And there's grizzlies all around me here too. Well, they're sleeping right now, but they're here. But I'm not really that concerned about grizzly bears intentionally hunting human beings. But big cats and black bears, they do it all the time. They're sleazy pricks. But anyway, gotta get moving. I'm gonna go to another spot. Maybe I might even fly the camera up and show you guys where I am right now. Maybe I'll do that and let you have a bird's eye view of this valley, because it is quite something else. It's pretty stunning.